Things are moving incredibly fast as we head toward the World Cup, and you do not want to fall behind. Make sure you hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell right now so you get our breaking news updates the literal second they drop. Thanks for locking in with us, and we'll see you in the next video. The 2026 World Cup was supposed to be the greatest sporting celebration ever created, a tournament bigger than Qatar, bigger than Russia, and bigger than Brazil combined. 3 host nations, 70,000-seat stadiums, and millions of passionate supporters traveling from every corner of the planet. FIFA genuinely believed this massive expansion would redefine the beautiful game forever. But right now, behind the scenes, something is going terribly wrong. Welcome to another deep dive into the hidden forces shaping modern football. Ticket prices are collapsing. Fans are flat out refusing to buy. The secondary resale markets are entering a state of absolute panic, while hotels across North American host cities are quietly slashing their rates just to fill rooms. Across social media, a single, terrifying question is beginning to echo through the global football community. Has FIFA finally pushed the World Cup too far? Because this isn't just a simple story about overpriced tickets. This is a story about what happens when football stops feeling like football and starts operating like a high-end luxury business model. For the first time in modern World Cup history, ordinary fans are openly debating whether attending the tournament is even worth the sacrifice anymore. And for the executives in Zurich, that is an existential problem. You see, atmosphere is the true lifeblood of the World Cup. It is the raw noise, the sea of flags, the beautiful chaos, and the unfiltered emotion. Without ordinary, working-class supporters filling those massive stands, football's biggest stage suddenly starts to feel completely hollow. And the closer we get to kickoff, the louder this structural crisis becomes. When FIFA originally awarded the 2026 tournament to the United States, Canada, and Mexico, the underlying message was undeniable. This was engineered to become the richest World Cup in human history. American infrastructure, American corporate sponsorships, and American entertainment money. FIFA saw unbridled opportunity everywhere they looked. The United States wasn't just another host country. It was the largest, most lucrative sports business market on Earth, and FIFA wanted a permanent piece of the action. But that ambition changed everything. Historically, the magic of the World Cup was built entirely around accessibility. Fans would save their hard-earned money for 4 straight years just to make the trip. Whole families crossed continents. Supporters slept on cheap hostel floors, crowded into overnight trains, and shared tiny apartments, because the collective experience mattered infinitely more than luxury. But North America operates on a completely different psychological wavelength. In the NFL, premium seats routinely cost thousands of dollars. In the NBA, courtside experiences are marketed and sold like luxury fashion items. Dynamic pricing, where algorithms automatically jack up prices based on real-time interest, completely dominates modern American sports. FIFA looked at that hyper-monetized system and asked themselves, why shouldn't the World Cup work the exact same way? So, for the first time in its history, FIFA fully embraced the corporate world of dynamic ticket pricing. Suddenly, ticket costs were fluctuating constantly based on demand, causing high-profile matches to become dramatically more expensive overnight. And then came the official resale system. Instead of banning scalpers, fans were directed to officially resell tickets directly through FIFA's own proprietary platform, with FIFA taking a massive percentage cut from every single transaction. Suddenly, the World Cup wasn't just a tournament anymore. It had been transformed into a speculative marketplace. And once football becomes a marketplace, Wall Street psychology takes over. Professional ticket resellers entered the chat immediately. Massive blocks of tickets were scooped up early by bots and brokers. Prices exploded, and a wave of artificial scarcity triggered intense panic buying. Real fans rushed in, terrified they would never get another chance to see their country play. But then, something completely unexpected happened. The market pushed back. People simply stopped buying. And that is precisely where FIFA's biggest nightmare began. Because as it turns out, traditional football fans do not behave like typical American entertainment consumers. At first, the PR machine claimed demand was exploding, boasting about millions of ticket requests and predicting the biggest tournament in football history. But as the weeks rolled on, the cracks in the narrative began to show. Reports started leaking that tickets for major group stage matches remained stubbornly available. Prices on the secondary resale markets began falling, then falling again, then falling even faster. Suddenly, the global fan base noticed something strange. The closer the tournament actually got, the cheaper many of these tickets became. Millions of diehard supporters have quietly reached the exact same conclusion. Watching the tournament from the comfort of home might simply make more sense. That is a sentence that would have been completely unthinkable 20 years ago. But today, it is becoming the new normal. What FIFA completely underestimated is that global football culture is fundamentally different from domestic American sports culture. The NFL is localized. The NBA is localized. Fans might travel occasionally for a playoff game, but the World Cup is a literal global migration. It relies on entire nations moving emotionally together across borders. The entire tournament depends on ordinary fans creating an extraordinary, organic atmosphere. And that atmosphere cannot be manufactured through corporate hospitality packages or VIP suites. It comes from tens of thousands of Argentinians singing in unison for 90 minutes straight. It comes from Mexicans turning entire city streets into a sea of green. It comes from Moroccan supporters turning concrete concourses into festivals, and Brazilians dancing outside the stadium gates until the sun comes up. Those people are the World Cup. But those exact people are the ones who now feel completely priced out of the experience. Do you think FIFA has gone too far with World Cup pricing? Would you still travel to a tournament under these financial conditions? Or has the beautiful game officially become too expensive for ordinary supporters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want deep-dive football documentaries that look past the corporate headlines, hit that subscribe button right now, because the closer we get to kickoff, the more chaotic this story is going to get. This brings us to an incredibly dangerous emotional shift. Once the global fan base collectively believes that a governing body cares more about corporate revenue than actual football culture, all institutional trust completely disappears. This is exactly why the current wave of criticism feels so much more intense than previous tournaments. Qatar had its controversies, Russia had its controversies, and Brazil had its controversies. But those tournaments still felt emotionally and physically accessible to ordinary supporters. The 2026 World Cup increasingly feels different. It feels sterile. It feels hyper-commercialized. It feels carefully engineered for wealthy consumers rather than actual football communities. And for the younger generation of fans especially, that negative perception spreads at lightning speed online. TikTok clips mocking the exorbitant ticket prices, Twitter threads exposing hidden resale fees, and tactical breakdowns questioning FIFA's priorities. The narrative is changing in real time. And once public perception hardens against an event, turning the tide becomes an uphill battle. Which brings us to the ultimate worst-case scenario, the very real possibility of partially empty stadiums. In a World Cup, a stadium is never supposed to be quiet. Even historically struggling host nations manage to fill seats through traveling fans, passionate locals, or last-minute local discounts. But 2026 presents a completely unique risk because these venues are absolutely astronomical. These are massive NFL coliseums built for giant American spectacles, some holding well over 70,000 people. Visually, empty seats matter immensely. A stadium that is only 85% full might sound okay on paper, but on a global television broadcast, it suddenly feels completely lifeless compared to the packed, suffocating chaos of previous tournaments. Gray sections of empty plastic seats become visible on camera, the acoustic atmosphere drops, and the crowd intensity vanishes. The viewers at home notice it instantly. And if the early group stage matches appear underwhelming on television, the global perception of the entire tournament degrades overnight. That is FIFA's true, ultimate fear. It isn't financial collapse. The tournament will always make money. It is narrative collapse.